Sam is the newest brawler coming into the next Brawl Stars update, and today we are going to test him 1v1 versus every other brawler. Sam is a melee brawler that has high health at 7,800 hit points at max level and high damage output, but short range. He has two forms that you need to understand. The form that he is in is dictated by if he's wielding his fist weapons called knuckle busters or not. He starts every match with his super fully charged and his fist weapons on. With his super charged, he throws two punches in a medium-sized cone. Each punch deals 1,200 damage. Now, these fist weapons are also his super because when you use the super, he will throw them in a long range, dealing 2,100 damage to whomever he hits. When the knuckle busters reach their max distance, they will land and stay there. When this happens, Sam is no longer wielding his fist weapons, and so he goes into his second form. Without his knuckle busters on his hands, he deals half the damage and in a smaller cone of attack, although a slightly faster reload speed. He also gains a very short speed buff upon using his super. Now, if you build your super up again, you can use it and it will recall his fist weapons back to him. Anyone caught in the path when they come back will take 1,050 damage. Also, when recalling these knuckle busters, they can pass through walls, and there seems to be no maximum length that they can travel back to you. I tried it. I went across an entire showdown map, and yeah, they traveled the entire distance back to you. It's like Thor's hammer or something. Alternatively, you can just run up to wherever they landed and pick them back up. Both star powers and gadgets revolve around his fist weapons. His first star power is called Hardy Recovery, and he gains 30% of his missing health when he recalls or picks up his fist weapons. His second star power is called Remote Recharge, and when his fist weapons are on the ground, they will have a small area of effect around them where if anybody is within the circle, it'll charge your super. Kind of like a very miniature little buzz that lays on the ground and helps you charge your super. Personally, I find his first star power to be much more useful than his second one. Now, his first gadget is called Magnetic Field, and while Sam's knuckle busters are on the ground and you use his gadget, anyone nearby them will be pulled into the fist weapons like a little miniature. His second gadget is called Pulse Repellent, and when activated, it will cause his next super to have a knockback at the end of his shot. Both gadgets have some use and can be effective at displacing brawlers or knocking a brawl ball out of someone's control, but I personally don't find either one to be super useful all of the time. Now, all of that sounds more complicated than it actually is, so let's watch Sam in action, starting with the throwers. Now, as you would expect, Sam slaughters the throwers in a base level interaction. I mean, he absolutely destroys them all, and some of them never even get a shot off, but in an actual game scenario, throwers will do well against him, assuming they do what throwers do. Keep a wall between him and Sam. This is because Sam has no wall breaking capabilities, nor does he have any jumps or rolls or charges. As long as there's a wall, then the thrower should do just fine against him. However, if Sam lands a shot on you and then uses his super, he can finish you off pretty quickly. That comes at a cost though as Sam, because without your fist weapons, you're putting yourself in your weak form. Now, as you will see as this moves along, Sam does very well in overall base level interactions. He has the high hit points and a strong damage output with his knuckle busters on, and that is the case right here against the spawners. Mr. P fares the best because both his main shot and the bounce hit. He still loses, but it's close. However, jump into a normal game and they're going to fare a bit better because they have a big range advantage on Sam. You'll need to play Sam just as you would a tank. Positioning matters. If you can work your way up the map either by dodging some shots or even accepting some damage, then you're going to hold the upper hand. However, if you face the spawners, then you're going to be pushed back pretty much like every other brawler. In this situation, Mr. P actually fares the worst because you can just charge him and take some of that reduced damage because it's just a single briefcase, and then you can displace him from where he was pretty quickly and take control of the lane. All in all, this is a pretty even matchup between the brawlers in this category, and it's going to really come down to the map, the mode, and most importantly, the player skill. There are two brawlers in this category where Sam's really going to have to watch out for, and that's Penny and Eve. If Penny has her gadget handy, yeah, just don't go near her, and Eve has rather high damage and some good escape abilities, but there are some brawlers who specialize in not letting you escape. So let's take a look at the assassins. Now with 7,800 hit points and high damage, you would expect Sam to do pretty well against the assassins, right? Well, I mean, yeah, he holds his own, but he doesn't like completely trounce them. However, I would say that assassins are a category that he probably counters the best. In base level interactions, he's able to come out on top against almost all of them except Daryl. Daryl just has overwhelming damage, and Sam's odd shots take too long to unload. Leon has the damage, but not the health. Although, if Sam is missing any health at all, then Leon is free and clear to attack. As for Crow, well, Crow is going to do Crow things and chip at him a distance before leaping in for the kill, and as long as his health is chipped down, then Crow's going to do okay, but it's not a great brawler to pick to go in for that kill. On the other hand, if Sam is not in his first form, then he's pretty much a sitting duck for all of the assassins. If you're an assassin, as always, pick your spot to go in for the kill, but if Sam has full health and his knuckle busters equipped or even nearby, it's probably best to wait that one out. But what if you could heal through the damage of those fist weapons? Well, that's a decent question, so let's take a look at all of the healers. Now in base level interactions, Poco gets absolutely slaughtered, and Byron, as we know, is horrible in these 1v1 tests. But we also know that these interactions are just the most basic of interactions. They don't take into account maps, modes, team comps, gadgets, supers, or, most importantly, player skill. However, in an actual game, Poco's still gonna get dumped on if he's facing off against Sam up close. Sam is much like Primo in this matchup. You can charge Poco, and unless your teammates come to help you, you're gonna be in trouble. Byron, however, will do a bit better because he outrages Sam by such a long distance. If there's a wide open space and Byron can hit his shots and keep his range, he's going to do pretty decent against Sam. The last healer here is Pam, and she's going to stand a decent chance because her damage output rivals that of Sam. If she can keep just out of Sam's range, then once again, this will be similar to Primo because she will be able to melt him down while staying just out of harm's way. So, remember how I just told you that Sam would dump on Poco? Well, I lied. I mean, a little bit. Here's a big tip for you if you're facing off against Sam. With this one tip, you're going to be able to cut Sam's DPS in half. If you find yourself toe-to-toe in a fight with Sam, circle around him counterclockwise. This will reduce his damage drastically. This is because when Sam punches, he always hits on the left-hand side of his cone first and then on the right-hand side. If you're strafing counterclockwise, you're going to have a much better chance at dodging that second punch, thereby reducing his damage in half. It makes a massive difference, so use that tip when you find yourself in close quarters with Sam. Almost every single mid-range brawler loses in a 1v1 interaction, but it's not like a runaway train here. I mean, yeah, Lola and Surge get beat, and sure, Sandy and Squeak get trounced. Lou isn't able to get off his freeze, and Spike, he got cactused. Again. Max, well, she crashed from those energy drinks, and Ruffs, he just got sent to the doghouse. Janet, however, yeah, she wanted to fly away. Now, Ems was a bit unfair because Sam wasn't in that max damage zone because his range is so short, but the bow one was rather close. Griff, however, is deadly because he's a big tank stopper with the amount of damage he outputs, but that's just in the interactions. In a real game, it's going to be a mixed bag. Some brawlers like Tara and Stu, I think they're going to do just fine. Tara has that super that's scary enough to make any brute run, and a good Stu player will just stay just out of Sam's range. Be really frustrating for Sam. Griff is going to be a very tough matchup for Sam as well. Not only are you going to take a lot of damage getting close to him, but even if you do get close to him, do you really want to? Because you're just going to get bursted down anyway. Ems will be able to use her super to keep you locked in that maximum damage zone, but if you can get close to her, then it's going to be bad news for her. Likewise, if you're Sandy, it's going to be a rough day for you if Sam gets close to you because you just don't have the damage output to deal with him. However, I think with no gap closer, I think that's going to be kind of tough to do. There is, however, a very specific scenario where Sam is going to be an absolute beast, and it's kind of the same scenario that Carl thrives in, even though Carl kind of gets dumped on out in the open. With Sam's second healing star power equipped, if you find yourself in a confined space with Sam, you're going to be in trouble. This is because Sam will be able to hit a couple of shots, unload his super, and then pick it right back up, healing himself for 30% and still having his knuckle busters equipped. In fact, this is probably one of the best ways to play him. Use your super in a way that you can pick it back up again quickly, regaining the health and not losing that damage boost. That, however, is going to be very map dependent and probably pretty tricky. In wide open spaces, much like a tank, Sam is going to struggle, unlike the next set of brawlers who love the great wide open. Now let's just get this out of the way right off the top. In a base level interaction, Sam smashes almost all of the long range brawlers. Some of them he can kill in 1.5 shots. Even Piper hitting full damage shots is not enough. Rico has way too little health and too long of an unload speed to do much. B gets absolutely smashed, and Belle, well, she gets robbed of her health and her dignity. Meg would get stomped in human form, no question, and in her mech form she wins, but not by much. Not even the uber damaged Nani can stand a chance with Sam up in your face. Even Colt with his damage is no match for Sam, and Gale, well, he's looking for his cane after that fight. Amber can't seem to get the fire hot enough, and Colette, as per usual, can't finish the job with her basic attacks. As for Brock, well, he keeps talking about his opponents getting lucky, and Jean is making wishes for more health. The only brawler that really stands a chance here is 8-Bit, and that's because he has almost identical damage to Sam. Now in a real game, the story is much different. If the long-range brawlers can keep that range and hit their shots, Sam doesn't stand much of a chance. However, if you lose positioning to him, you're going to have no choice to fall back off of your spot. This is the classic case of the importance of hitting your shots and the consequences if you don't. There are, however, a couple exceptions. Bonnie can launch herself on Sam, and regardless if he has his fist weapons or not, she can win. Gale is another one where he can use his super and cycle them quick enough that he can keep Sam at bay without much issue. And Colette can, of course, well, pretty much stop any tank with her super. So to you Sam players, dodge some shots and get in position. To you long range players, hit your shots. Duh. I've saved tanks for last for a very specific reason. Just playing Sam a little and seeing him, you would think that he's a tank, but you'd be wrong. He's actually classified as a damage dealer, and this really hurts him. Because he's not officially a tank, he does not gain his super back when being attacked, and without that super recharge, he really suffers. He's not going to win a war of attrition against other tanks, and not just that, but despite having similar range, he gets beat toe-to-toe by most of them. Primo wins a fist fight without much problem, and Sam gets slaughtered by Bull. Frank, it's a bit closer, but his superior reload speed lets him just pull ahead, and Jackie is one of the closest matches, but still she wins. Ash loses, but that's only because he starts with no rage. If you give him some rage, he's gonna win. And Shelly, even with her band-aid, goes down. Now, of course, we know what Shelly is really good for. Yeah, nobody's gonna win that one. BB and her bat, well, they say bye-bye, and Fang feels like he just watched the credits of a bad movie. That just leaves Rosa, and I've saved her for the last interaction because of how similar she is to Sam. They almost feel like the same brawler, but the big difference here is Rosa has an I win button and Sam doesn't. Their punches feel the same, although Rosa has a bit more range. In most in-game situations, Sam is at a disadvantage against the tanks, even though he's playing the position the way he was meant to. So the place he is at his best, he still gets beat. It's like Sam's a tank who isn't actually a tank that gets out-tanked by the tanks. So then, what are my thoughts on Sam? Well, after playing him for a few hours now, I find him a little underwhelming. He's not bad by any means, and the unique playstyle of having two forms is very cool. Here's the problem I have. One is that his highest point of damage are his fist weapons when you throw them. However, you don't really want to throw them unless you're going to be able to pick them back up very quickly, because without them, you're kind of a sitting duck. You're not going to do much damage, and you don't have any kind of gap closers or other than a very small buff when you throw his fist weapon. So it's a really odd play style, and perhaps I just need some more practice with him, but at the moment, I find him a little underwhelming. The second problem I have with him is his actual shot pattern, how it's so far left and so far right. It feels frustrating when you get close to somebody and you're only landing one shot because they're moving it so much. It's like you've done all this work to get into position and then you still don't have quite the damage output that you might like to have. So that's a little frustrating, but that also could be completely a skill issue for me that I just haven't played him enough to figure it all out yet. But you guys may fare better than I have. So you guys let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of Sam? And also really be sure to stay tuned for tomorrow's video, because I have a very special surprise in that video for you all. Anyways, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out.